All right. Good morning. Thank you so much for coming on this morning. It's our Monday morning training. Sorry, we're a few minutes late. Just kind of putting a few things together at the last minute. But anyways, we're going to be talking about mindset today and the importance of having a positive mindset and how sometimes, of course, a failing mindset it's going to lead to failure in the business. So we're just going to kind of break some things down and kind of focus a little bit about mindset and just kind of go from there. How you doing, Chris?
Good. I got a great story to share about a negative mindset, not of my own, but for the benefit of today's training. So I'm excited to do this.
All right. Well, let's hear about it.
Absolutely. I'm just sharing you out in our group right now. Caught me off guard. All right.
Oh,
So
okay.
over the weekend, I was taking my son out to do some hitting. We had this little baseball back, so you don't throw it up against the house, and throwing the ball to him to see if he can improve some hitting strategies. And the whole time he was complaining like it's the umpire's fault. They're standing in the wrong spot. That's why I can't hit. It's the bat, it's too heavy. It's the ball is too soft. It was just like this really poor mentality he was employing. And I was saying to him, not only is it no fun to play with you if you're going to complain the whole time, but if you would actually realize you were hitting the ball and complain less, you would even be happier about it. And the whole thing just disintegrated into a mess of a situation. And the very next day that we tried, I told him, nobody wants to hear you complain. Nobody wants to hear you struggle. Nobody wants to hear you blame other people. Just hit the ball, swing the bat. And before you know it, he stopped complaining, swung the bat, and did a pretty decent job, all things considered. But I think, and I wonder, after experiencing that moment of parental like growth with kids, is if adults, if agents, they complain so much they get in the way of their own stability or success or writing business. Like if you would just shut up and write business, maybe it would be going a lot better for you.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's true in a lot of businesses. I think that's almost society these days. It just seems like so many people are just it's never themselves, it's always everything else. We talk so much about accountability, and
Hmm.
but that's exactly what it is. People just playing the blame game all the time. Why they're failing in business. uh, I mean, I've seen people in other businesses where might be a similar, or the business they're in might be the same industry, but they go from one place to the next. And again, even in this business, we've talked about that, where people jump around one place to the next, and it's always everybody else. Oh, they weren't honest with me from the beginning, and they were lying to me, and just everywhere they go, kind of the same problem. So yeah, I think accountability is a big part of it. But yeah, let's talk about mindset and just how to how to conquer failing a failing mindset. That's what our topic is today. So I'm going to break some things down, and we can just kind of go from there. So I put together this slide presentation, just kind of breaking down different characteristics of a failing mindset. And the first one, I think self doubt is a big part of having a failing mindset. You don't believe in yourself. Maybe you're just not comfortable yet with what you're doing or where you're at. Um, but self doubt, I think, is a big part of it. And I think also having that fear of failure. I think fear of failure is huge in our business. I think a lot of agents out there, they look at the investment that's involved when it comes to what it's going to take to succeed, when it comes to the fact that, well, you got to spend money to make money. I mean, you got to be able to have that money available to purchase leads. You got to be consistent with it. And I think we talk about that a lot too, Chris. I think people really nickel and dime it maybe a little bit too much. they focus so much on that each individual lead and the cost of that each individual lead, where really you need to focus more on it's an investment. Your 25 or 30 leads a week, that's an investment. And it's, again, it's a numbers game. The more people we have to see, of course, the more opportunities we're going to have. And the numbers work out. But I think the initial investment is really where people have that fear of failure. Well, do I really want to spend $1,000 for 25 leads? What if people tell me they're not interested? What if I don't make any sales? And right there, that's fear of failure. You're already setting yourself up to fail when those are the sort of thoughts that are going through your mind. And then negative self-talk. I think about this a lot too. I think that we talk to ourselves more than we talk to anybody. And you might not really think of it that way, but I kind of feel like it's true. Like when I'm out working and I'm in my car by myself all day, all I'm doing is thinking. All day, all we're doing is thinking. It doesn't matter what you're doing. All we're doing is talking to ourselves all day. So what kind of talk are we having with ourselves? Are we thinking positively? Or are we thinking negatively? It really does play a big impact on our day and our routine and what we're doing. And then I think another characteristic of a failure mindset is just having that fixed mindset that views challenges as just insurmountable, meaning it doesn't matter what the challenge is. There's no way that I'm going to be able to do that. I mean, other people are doing it. They've been successful, but they're not me. I just don't see me being someone that would be able to do that. And I guess I almost feel like if that's the mindset going in, maybe this isn't for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you want to maybe break those down too a little bit, Chris, or if you have any others to add.
Oh, yeah. So it's important to start off by thinking to yourself, if you were to fail, would you be any worse off than you are right now? Like you're just getting started in the business, maybe.
Yeah.
Like people are watching this from different perspectives today, tomorrow, or 20 years from now. If you're just getting started in the business, if you do exactly what you're being told to do and it doesn't work, will you be any worse off than you are right now? I mean, maybe a few $1,000s in debt that you would have been anyway from poor misdecisions. No, you'll be in the same position. So don't let that hold you back. And then later on in your career, if you're starting to struggle, you're having a bad day, a bad week, a bad month, whatever, give yourself 1 minute to think what it would be like or what else you would do or however much you would make or however hard you'd have to work. You'd have to work twice as hard for somebody else as you are for yourself right now anyway. So why choose to fail? Or even worse, Adam, the people that underperform their potential. Like this job doesn't require anything like special behind it. It just requires work and mastering a skill set. Yeah. But there's people that underperform what they're truly capable of. Like say, for example, you've got an agent that is capable of writing, let's just say 4K a week. They've proven it. They've done it. You've seen them do it. But they're constantly writing 1,200. Like that's sad. Like that's a form of like mindset problem as well, because they aren't failing. They haven't quit the business. They didn't go get a job, but they're making half as much money as they're truly capable of doing if they would do it the correct way. Self-doubt, like get out of your own way. Like what is there to doubt? This isn't that complicated of a business to work. Negative self-talk. That means you probably need more positive influences in your head, or examine who else is putting information into your head. Like we are a collection of the 10 people we spend the most time with. And if 6 of those people are just sad as shit, maybe that's why you're sad. Like be mindful of what's going into your head, what kind of music you're listening to, if all you're doing is listening to the news, no wonder you're scared you're going to fail. The news scares the hell out of you. Like put on some positive music instead. I think we have to be very careful to remind ourselves we're a sponge and we sponge in all this stuff. And maybe that's why our mindset is where it is.
Yeah, most definitely. And one thing real important that you said there, the people that we are involved with on a business level, a personal level. Uh, I mean, the people that we hang out with is really kind of shows really who we are. Or, I don't know. It's kind of funny, while you were talking about that. I just even think about we think about our business. We think about the people that we work with in final expense on a regular basis, the neighborhoods, and everyone's kind of in the same boat, the same situation.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I was just thinking about that because when we built our house and we moved in, uh, my next door neighbor, he's not in the insurance business, but it's kind of like a more of like a sales gig, a sales career. And everyone's kind of like in the same income. I mean, this guy drives the same car as me. Like it's crazy. But it's like but that I mean the mindset, we think alike, very much alike with work ethic and everything else, different careers, but very similar. Again, I think it's a lot about who we talk to and who we hang out with too on a regular basis that really has an impact on on who we are and what we are looking to do
Mm-hmm.
moving forward. Also, this is another one that I had on here too. Poor leadership. Uh, Kind of the same thing. If you're surrounding yourself with people or people that are supposed to be leading you, and if they have a poor mindset, a negative mindset, always everything is glass half full, always focusing on the problems and rather than focusing on the solutions,
Mm-hmm.
I think that can be contagious as well. Even,
Absolutely.
kind of getting back to people that we are involved with or that we hang out with. I mean, you even look at I even look at like sports. You think about like, different baseball teams. And I've seen teams that have been very successful where they have a very good culture, but they bring in that one player that maybe doesn't mesh well. And then the whole thing just kind of goes to shit. Where that one bad influence can really rub off on a lot of people and really change that culture. So, same thing in business. I think it's just important to be involved with people that are like-minded, that are positive, that are there to help and support and see to it that you have that long-term success, but and I think might even be on the next slide that are really looking out for your best interests is
Yeah,
really
I
what I
think
feel is important.
the tough part in leadership is that you're not allowed to complain downwind, like down the hierarchy, down to somebody direct to you. Like that's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to
Yeah.
uplift them, to motivate them, to point them in the right direction, to give them some guardrails, not to make the same mistakes that you made. But you can't, like, negativity is so toxic, especially from a leadership perspective. If they're used to listening to you without any filter of doubt, any filter of concern, like instituting what you do, and then you start complaining to them, it's even worse because they're used to listening to what you're telling them to do. So leaders can't be complaining to people that are supposed to be following. It only makes things worse.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I've seen that in a lot of businesses. I mean, I have a pretty good relationships with the people that I work with. Uh,
Mhm.
and I think that's a good thing. But yeah, you're right. I think yeah, complaining down the line that just really makes things even worse for everybody.
Yeah, I think you
Let's
can
see.
empathize with somebody. You can say, "Yeah, this is a
Yeah.
difficult situation, but here's a couple solutions." Or I just I don't
Yep.
have a solution right now. We'll figure it out, but I don't have an answer right now. So I think it's important to give them solutions to their problems, and then their responsibility is to accept the solution or to continue to complain. Like I learned from somebody recently, you can give the person that has a problem their choices of a solution. But if they choose not to pick one of those, then you've washed your hands of the responsibility of that in leadership. So remember, problems versus solutions. Important way you look at things as they come up. I don't know if I'm going to steal from one of the other slides in the thunder there, but problems are opportunities for you to grow. Like problems make you better. Problems prepare you for the next time something happens. Problems aren't always a bad thing. You signed up for to be an entrepreneur, not to be an employee.
Yeah, well, and again, things aren't always going to go great. That's just part of the business. That's just part of life. It's just ways of figuring out ways to kind of overcome that adversity and see to it that again, we're focusing on long term. This is like a long
Mhm.
term thing. We're not focusing on just, we hope this works. We got to make it work. So, uh, the impact of a failing mindset. Well, I think it can lead to decreased motivation, poor performance, lack of persistence in the face of obstacles. So, right there, again, when you have that failing mindset, right away you're losing motivation, you're not performing to your abilities. Like you mentioned even earlier, Chris, about people that maybe they can write 4 or 5,000 a week, but they're just not doing it. Well, that's where I think maybe they maybe need to have a little bit of self-evaluation and just kind of figure out maybe this is part of it. Maybe they need to kind of dig down deep into their thought process and their mindset. And yeah, I'm such a firm believer in this topic today. Because I think it really I think this is probably the most important part of our business, honestly. We can learn things, we can get good at it, we can go out and do our best to perform. But like if our head's not right, none of this is going to work.
Yeah.
So I just think, again, these are just some things, that failing mindset can lead to, just having that, and diagnosing, diagnosing your failing mindset. Some behavioral indicators. You procrastinate, you put things off. You need to get things done right now, but you're just not doing it. And you're avoiding those challenging tasks, things that maybe are going to take a little bit longer to get done, things that might be a little bit harder, but you'll get to it sooner or later, but you're just not ready to get there yet.
I'll
And
get leads next
giving up,
week. I'll just buy
yeah,
leads next week. The week before wasn't the way it wanted it to be. I'm going to work those through one more time, find out if I can get in front of a few more people from the week before and the week before that. But yeah, I'm just going to avoid doing that this week. And just no, thank you. Get up and get on a conference call. No, it's just I'm not an early morning riser. 9 o'clock. What are you talking about? Get,
yeah.
you know, it, I got in front of that first door, but they didn't let me in. Today's just not my day. Like you can hear it in the way people say it. Like they even say it with less enthusiasm. Like guys that face adversity, they're like, man, that today was rough, but houses smell, dogs poop. There was no cell phone service, but I put it together. It wasn't the best day, but it was a good day. You can even hear it in the tonality of how people talk. And maybe people need to listen to themselves and see if they sound like a failure and the way they're phrasing their excuses.
Well, I think too, one thing I think about too when it comes to avoiding challenging tasks, maybe we wrote a bunch of business, but then all of a sudden we have 2 or 3 people that call and cancel. And right there, that's a decision too you got to make. What are you going to do? Are you going to just keep going out and writing more business? Are you going to try to conserve that business? Do what you can to keep that business on the books. It's a difficult conversation to have with a client if you're really trying to conserve that business and they're pretty much dead set on the fact that they don't want it anymore and they just want to cancel it. Sometimes those are things too that I think people will put off. But when you put those sort of things off, it's going to lead to having chargebacks, and then you have to write that much more business to kind of get out of debt. So, but I think that's a task too that I think a lot of agents avoid is doing what they can to conserve business once a client kind of has it set in their mind that they just don't want it anymore.
Yeah. Well, what are they? Here's the question again, like before. Like, what are they afraid of? Like, what could really happen? They still said no. Well, at least you tried. You know what could really happen in those senses is you go back, you see the person, and you figured out that they canceled for something stupid, and you could re-educate them and get in rapport, connect again, and fix the problem. Well, Adam, I canceled this policy because you sold me accident insurance. You see, accidental life. No, that's occidental. You're misreading the policy.
Yeah.
Oh, so this isn't accident insurance? No, look, it says right here on the policy, whole life insurance. Oh, okay. Well, I really do need this. You know, when you face these adversity type moments, like a client calling to cancel and you go back to fix it and you actually fix it, how much better do you feel about yourself at that point? It's
Oh
incredible.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I feel, well, yeah. I mean, it just when it's like, again, you can either focus on saving that business or you can focus on the chargeback. And when you focus on chargebacks, you know what happens? More and
More
more of
business.
them start piling up.
Yeah, like write it down, get it out of your email, go back and see them later. But the worst is like letting that get in the way of you writing business when your goal for the day was to write business. Like you wake up, they're always in your email in the morning too. Like that doesn't help things. They should send that out later, some other time. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Now this person canceled. Now my whole day's ruined. What? Go to work. Like, you know, if people with real jobs don't get to have these kind of complaints, they don't make half the money. Like doesn't make any sense what people let themselves what slow them down with.
Yep. But that's what, I like the discussions that we have, Chris, because these are things that you don't hear other places talking about or having trainings on. It's always the sunshine and rainbows and everything's great
Mhm.
and you're going to make all this money. And yeah, you can. But let's talk about, this, let's dig a little bit deeper into this
Yeah.
and,
Or the
focus, talk about the stuff that maybe other places don't want to talk about or maybe are afraid to bring up.
Yeah, or like the leadership side of this. Oh man, that person left me. Well, you weren't married to them. Like, did your wife leave? Like, that actually is a problem. But did
Yeah.
they
Oh,
let?
yeah.
Okay, all right. Rally the horses. Go through the team again. Figure out who you can pour your energy into. Figure out why and what happened, and if you've done anything wrong. And sometimes you really haven't. And then learn from it. So, because guess what happens? The next time you see that kind of progression of events taking place that led you to that problem, they're going to happen in a very similar way again, but because you know what happens at the end, if you don't fix it, you can fix it again. Like each one of these challenges is an opportunity to learn because it's not only going to ever happen once, like these will happen
Yeah.
again in this business.
Well, and that's another thing too. Like, I'll be pretty straightforward and honest with you. I mean, I don't always have like the most positive mindset. There's days that I wake up and I'm
Oh,
ticked
yeah.
off about stuff, and that's why I wanted to do this training, because I want to teach you guys what you can do to kind of get through those sort of things. Because yeah, not every day is the best.
Hmm.
We got to figure out ways to overcome it, and that's how we stay in business. Uh, some emotional indicators. Anxiety. If you really have a lot of anxiety, that's part of having that failing mindset. If you're frustrated all the time about things, same thing. Feeling inadequate. Another thing. I just, again, some different things that can maybe diagnose. Maybe it's just my mindset. Maybe I just need to focus a little bit more on on the positives than the negatives.
Hmm.
And then I wanted to talk about real quick, like a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. In our business, I think you have to have a growth mindset. A growth mindset is believing that your abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication and hard work. Everything can be learned. You can get better, and you just got to put the time in. That fixed mindset is just believing that your abilities are just static and unchangeable, where it doesn't really matter. That's just how it's going to be. And like I said, sometimes I just feel like you got to have more. Well, you have to have a growth mindset. I think in our business, you got to be willing to learn and develop and get better at your craft. And you got to be willing to dedicate yourself to what you're doing and put in that time and hard work. So that's the thing too. You got to be willing to like adapt and maybe shift your mindset. Some people can do it. Some people can't. Some people maybe are just set in their ways. And if that's the case too,
Yeah, that's
this
tough.
isn't for everybody.
Yeah, could you
You know?
imagine, Adam, operating with a fixed mindset in this industry where you're still filling out a paper application with a pen,
Yeah.
completing an 18-minute phone interview, going home and and faxing the application
I was just going to bring that up. Faxing.
returning the next day, and then checking your back office to see if it's even been received or if they're missing
Yeah.
page 6. Like, that's a fixed mindset that people literally have to learn how to adapt past, accept e-application technology, realize how much more efficient it makes you. A fixed mindset would be, you're still refusing to do any kind of appointment setting. Well, you're not, I got to just door knock. Like, that's just it. That's what I've always done.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
always worked. It's what always will work. That's all that I'm going to do.
Yeah.
You could still be doing that, but how inefficient would it be? And how
Yeah.
anti-growth would that be?
Exactly. Good example right there. Like you said, kind of talking about my own situation where that's what I did for years, was just door knocking leads. You got to be willing to adapt, to change. You got to be willing to, like I've always said, if other people are doing something that maybe is working a little bit better than what you're doing, well, why not figure out what they're doing and learn it? Like I've always said, heck, Chris, you're writing all that business every year. Anybody could do it if they're willing to kind of follow the same system, do the same stuff you're doing, and not change or shift off of that. Like if you tell people you need to order 25 leads every week, and then from there focus on having the appointments set for you, fill up your schedule, and that's something that you have to do every single week. Well, then if people are not doing it every single week, well, then they're not going to see those same sort of results.
Yeah.
So that's where, you got to be willing to adapt and change. But this fixed mindset.
I don't know if the StreamYard dropped out there a minute or two, but I'm back here. We'll wait to see if Adam's able to get back on in a second. And we're still live, so that's okay. I think it's also important. We got a couple questions here we can answer in real time as we wait for Adam to get back on. Question we got asked here was, any strategies on how to change from a negative self-talk? It's a great question. I think we might have answered it a little bit here, but while we're still live, I'll answer it for you. How to change strategies on how to change negative self-talk. Be mindful of who's around you, what they're saying, and what you're allowing into your head. Be mindful of negative influences. Be cautious of good influences. Like, be careful about how long you allow yourself to complain about something. If you're allowing yourself to complain more than you are be positive, then that's going to continue to recycle itself over and over again. So I think the best strategy you can have to address negative self-talk is to be very cognizant of what talk you do allow into your head. I think other important strategies when it comes to having a positive mindset is activity. Like, you got to be active. You can't expect things to get better if you're not going to do anything about it. I think activity cures all problems in this business, as crazy as that can sound. Like, you're not going to feel any better not getting out your own door today. It's not going to change your situation. Your money situation isn't going to get any better if you don't do anything about it.
Up there.
Write more business if you're not out to look to write more business. Adam, I think we might have had a slight technical glitch there, but we've been
Thanks for stepping in there, Chris. I don't know what's going on with this internet.
Yeah, I thought the rapture happened for a second, but we've been talking about the fact that positive mindset requires activity. Things aren't going to get any better if you don't do anything. Like, you're not going to write business if you're not trying to write business. If you're having money problems, staying at home isn't going to make you any money. Like, the belief that activity does cure most problems is what we've been talking about, waiting for you to get back.
Yeah, most definitely. I don't know what happened with the internet. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, a little blurry, but I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Yeah, let me hold on. Give me 1 second here.
Yeah, take your time. I think it's also important to recognize that if you have found yourself in this position, you got to do something about it. Recognizing that the problem is step one to fixing the problem. But now that you know that you have a problem, like, find ways to fix it. Can I go out there and buy 50 leads from 5 years ago? Okay, you could. That'll cost you like $15. Go out there and work them. Give yourself little manageable goals to achieve and then to grow from there. So you're having trouble going to work. All right, well, maybe today's success in having a positive mindset is you simply went to work for 8 hours. And then on Tuesday, you went to work and you wrote business. Then on Wednesday, you actually went to work, you wrote business, and you got a referral. So I think it's important that you give yourself little achievable goals as you try to get back on track. Like, if you were trying to walk after a car accident and you broke both of your legs, you wouldn't all of a sudden expect to just get up the next day and run a marathon, right? Nope. Okay, well, today I'm going to get out of the bed. Next, I'm going to walk. And I'm going to walk a mile, then 2. Like, give yourself little manageable things you can achieve to get back on track. Don't expect a major change all of a sudden. Let me give you another example of having like a positive, why you want to have a positive mindset. Because things are going to go wrong, you're going to want to accept that as an opportunity to do better. You want to be rooted in your business. Here's where I'm going with this one. You want to be rooted in your business because when things get tough, at least you're on solid ground. You follow me on that one yet? Like, does that make any sense? Like, I think so many people struggle in this business because they're constantly jumping from one thing to the next. When things get difficult on them, they're easily uprooted. Now, of course, you're supposed to make changes here and there and improvements here and there and strategic adjustments when necessary. But if you're constantly hopping from IULs being sold virtually to over the phone to Medicare to annuities to final expense to this organization to that to this philosophy and to that one, no wonder when everything gets tough, you're not able to, you're not on solid ground to survive it. So I think it's important to have a positive mindset, not only to be around positive people and believe in yourself, but also stay the course. It can be really challenging when you're not on solid ground to survive these, self-talk moments in your career. I'm going to give Adam another minute or two to get back on here. But if you're on, we've got a few folks watching today, and you have a question about, positive mindset, failure mindset, difficulties that you faced, feel free to put them in the comment section below and I can answer them for you. Maybe you've had a situation in business where the whole thing has gone wrong and you need some basic strategies on how to get back on track. Feel free to drop that question. Or maybe there's just a specific sales challenge that you've encountered that you don't know what to do with. And every time you encounter it, it affects your mindset. Like, every time Miss Mabel says she needs to think about it, you just lose it. Like, you lose it for the presentation, you lose it for the day. Maybe there's a particular sales thing that you're struggling with that you can mention in the chat that we can help you overcome in real time as well. So let me share a few more thoughts with you on, I think what's important in overcoming negative self-talk is also reminding yourself, where did you start? Like, why did you get into this business in the first place? Maybe it's because whatever your particular reason was. Maybe you're having self-doubt and a negative mindset right now because you forgot why you're even here. So first, remind yourself why you got started to get back on track. what did it feel like when you got started back in the business? Like what was that feeling the first time you made a sale, the first time you saw that money go into your bank account, the first time you saw real financial proof that this was a thing? What did that feel like? If you're having a negative mindset, remind yourself of what your first deposit felt like, and that'll help you get back on track. And then I think we got Adam back. I'll close with this thought. What can a little bit of extra money really do for you? Like if you got back on track, you got back into a positive mindset, you got back to working, what would the money really do for you? You know, money doesn't fix everything, but money does make a lot of problems more manageable. So maybe the problems that you're facing that are giving you a negative self mindset is because you need to just work harder, put a little bit more money in that bank, and everything will work itself out from there. Adam, good to have you back. What you got
Yeah,
for us?
sorry for these technical difficulties. My internet just went out, and right now I'm just streaming, or I'm connected to my phone. So give me 1 second here.
You could also have a negative mindset about it. Quit the stream and give up for the day, and then call me tomorrow.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. But looks like we'll make it work.
There
So
we go.
let's see. We talked about the growth mindset. We talked about the fixed mindset. All right. And somebody asked me too on here earlier, any strategies on how to change the negative self-talk? Well, positive self-talk. There you go. Replace
Brilliant.
negative thoughts. Replace negative thoughts with empowering affirmations. Visualization, imagining successful outcomes to build confidence and reduce anxiety, and gratitude, focusing on positive aspects of life and work to shift attention away from failures. I'm a real big believer in the law of attraction, which, if you've ever read or listened to the book The Secret, that's what it's about. Is they talk so much about how it's almost like our thoughts are magnetic, and the more we think about one thing, the more similar thoughts attract to that thought. And so if let's just say, for instance, let's say you're having a bad day, and all you're thinking about is just how bad your day is going. What's going to happen? I mean, your day is going to continue to go down that path. uh, and it's like the more you think about things like that, the worse things get. And that's where you, again, kind of talking about having to kind of shift that mindset. And that's where you need to kind of shift your focus. And heck, you have a bad day, you walk out of a house. I mean, these days, if I get a door slammed on my face, I like walk back to my car laughing. Like, I don't let it for me, because I'm not going to let it screw up my day. In the past,
Yeah.
maybe it would affect me a little bit more. I'd get all ticked off about it. Like, no, who cares? I'm someone that wants my help. I'm not going to get to me, because if I let it get to me, my entire day. So,
Adam,
yeah, go ahead, Chris.
sorry, you were a little broken up there for a moment. You ever notice the kind of people that it seems like everything goes wrong in their life? Like, is that actually a thing? Or have they just manifested so much negativity that the universe continues to put more negativity into their orbit? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, same thing. Yeah. I mean, I think that if you've never read or listened to that book, I listened to it probably, and well, I listened to it in my car probably at least a couple times a year. I mean, it's probably the audio. It's about maybe 8 hours long, so I could knock that out 1 or 2 days without work leads. But yeah, I mean, it really does make a lot of sense what they talk about. Just the thoughts and just, but again, there's ways to get through those negative thoughts. And again, right here, positive self-talk maybe sounds a little bit easier than done. Visualization, even they say, you can even visualize things that you don't have yet, and just kind of focus on that. Almost make yourself feel like you've already achieved it. and it puts you in that mindset. It makes you feel like you're already there, and kind of hard to explain, but it almost makes it feel like you're able to get there a little bit faster. I guess when you have that sort of mindset, like you're going to do it, but you have to feel like you've already done it. And gratitude, same thing. I mean, to me, that's an easy way to shift a poor day. Is just take a minute, take a deep breath, and you could even think about your why. Why you're doing this, and who you're doing this for, and things that you're grateful for. It could be anything. You could be grateful that you woke up this morning.
It's a good
able to breathe another day. But just anything. Think about things that you're grateful for, and just anything that can shift from bad experience you just had and to put you back in the right frame of mind to be able to keep moving forward.
Yeah, I think that we can be grateful for the little things. It's just like stacking up little yeses in the presentation. You get your client used to saying yes to little things. When you ask them for bigger yeses, it's almost natural. So if you're grateful for little things throughout the day, like, all right, I've got a few appointments on the calendar, bunch of leads to go work at 8 hours without any distractions to go do it. I'm grateful. Let's see what we can do. And you visualize yourself getting through the door. You visualize yourself writing business. Like there's no self-doubt as you approach the presentation. You've already visualized what's going to happen. Then you have positive self-talk, like, Lord, give me somebody with some really bad insurance today that I could improve. Just give me a good lay down and I'll make it work. Those kind of things really go a long way, especially the days that you feel like you need it the most. So don't be afraid to say to yourself, yeah, I do need some positive self-talk today. And that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, they even talk in that secret about even people like in poor health. Same thing. Like they think more and more about their health being poor. It's just going to get worse. You gotta kind of shift the same thing. You focus on good health, and I even think about, like, right now I'm not in one, but like when I'm in a pretty good workout routine, it's like you're doing things that maybe you wouldn't even do, but it doesn't even feel like you're doing things differently. Like when it comes to changing your diet and things like that, it's like when you start working out, you want to do those sort of things. Like it's kind of hard to explain, but anytime I get into a workout routine, it's like my diet changes. I'm drinking a lot more water. I'm just not going through the drive through it all, fast food. But it's more of like a natural thing. It's not like I'm intentionally stopping doing other things, but it's just kind of crazy the way that the mind works with a lot of this.
You're
developing
creating routines. That's all that it is, really. Good, healthy, positive routines are hard to make and easy to break. Bad routines and negative mindsets are easy to create and hard to break. It's really unfair, but it's the truth of the business. And if you remind yourself of that, you'll protect your good routines doubly hard, and you'll be aware of bad routines just as much.
Am I still blurry, Chris?
A little blurry, a little garbled, but you're getting the word across.
All right. Let's see. I'm going to try one more time and get back on my good Wi-Fi. I had my son reset the.
There we go. I think it's silly to let that breeze by without repeating it one more time in case you guys missed it. Good routines, hard to create and easy to break. Bad routines, easy to pick up on and very hard to break. So just remind yourself of that when you're thinking about positive influences and negative influences in your life. We got you back, Adam?
Yeah. And I think I'm hoping better now.
Loud and clear.
Yeah. I don't know what was going on with that internet, but hey, you just never know. Sometimes things happen. We have to be resilient and figure out a way to overcome them. So, learning from failure, view failures as learning opportunities rather than setbacks. I mean, how many successful people in business were just successful right out the gate? mean, I would think most people in business, they always experience some sort of setbacks, some sort of failures, and they had to figure out ways to overcome those sort of things. I mean, I can't think of one person that was like, yeah, this guy just right out the gate successful. People have to overcome things. People have to overcome and be willing to overcome those sort of things.
The crazy part about those people, though, in this industry is the people that it comes easy to, as soon as it gets tough, they're nowhere to be found. But it's so crazy, but it's the truth. The people that it's hard for, like it takes real effort to figure it out. As soon as it gets hard, they're used to it being hard. So they're like, all right, this is just normal then, I guess. I'll just keep going. What else do I know how to do? Keep going. That's how I see it.
Well, it's like the baseball player that comes through the system from the minors, comes up to the bigs, and is just crushing the ball all over the place. And one of the best hitters in baseball. And then scouting, everything else comes out, scouting reports, and all of a sudden everyone's learning how to pitch to the guy. And all of a sudden they're learning how to pitch to him. And I mean, I've seen that with some players. One example I would be like Chris Bryant, when he was with the Cubs. I mean, this guy, he was awesome. I mean, just hitting the cover off the ball when he came up from the minors. And I don't feel like now he's near the player he was when he first came up. And it was because they start to figure these players out, especially these days. It's so much, with technology and everything else. I mean, they can figure people out, how to pitch them, what they're not hitting. And they have to figure out a way to adjust. And I think the same thing in business, like you talked about, an agent might come out right out the gate and just crush it. They're going to face adversity. They're going to have cancellations. They're going to have chargebacks, and they have to figure out ways to adjust. They got to figure out ways to kind of overcome those things if they want to remain, be successful long-term in the business.
Very true.
Let's see. And creating a positive work environment. Work with people that you feel have your best interests at hand. Yeah, I talked about that a little bit earlier. I think that's important too. When there's so many opportunities out there in the industry, you really do have to feel like the people that you're working with are genuine and that they do have your best interests at hand. I mean, I've talked about that a lot too. Like, I've never once calculated an override. Like, I've never thought about what am I getting out of this? I just know the more I can do to help people, the more I will be rewarded as well. So, yeah, I never think about that stuff. The money comes in and it's great. But you know what? At the end of the day, if I don't do my part and do what I can to help people be successful, well, that's not going to happen. The money's going to slow down. It's going to stop coming in. So work with people that have your best interests at hand. They're going to do what they can to help you to be successful. Find mentors that provide guidance, support, and accountability. I think that's important too. People that, if someone has your best interest at hand, you got to be able to handle the hard talks too. And I think what I mean by that is you got to understand, that you got to hold yourself accountable. And if whoever you're working with has your best interest at hand and they're straightforward and they're willing to tell you the reasons why they feel like maybe you're failing, maybe you're going out too much, maybe you're successful, but a few days throughout the week, there's nothing coming in because you're too busy not working. Just things like that, but you got to be willing to accept those hard talks. And especially if you know that the people that you're working with are there to help you and looking out for your best interests. That's all they're doing. They're willing to tell you the reasons why they feel like you're failing, and you got to be able to accept them and do what you can to overcome those failures.
You know what's interesting is sometimes other people can see things that you can't see. Yeah, I don't know a good way to explain it on the whim like that, but like you ever see like you go away for 2-3 weeks, you come back and your neighborhood looks a little bit different. Like, oh, look at that. Well, you're seeing it differently because you're seeing it from a different perspective. Like people that you are trusting to work with might be able to see things inside of you that you can't see, or things outside of you, or things on you. Like there are so many people that have this like neutral position in business where they're just plugging around, writing this much business. And you look at them, you're like, look, I know you can do more because I've seen more. And I'm telling you because I want you to do better, because they can see it from a different perspective. So maybe self-accountability is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a perspective that you're not able to see out of yourself.
Well, and I think that if people have your best interests in hand and they care and they believe in you, uh, like I said, you gotta understand like that's why they're willing to share those sort of things with you. That's why they're willing to be upfront and honest with you and tell you, look at, this is what's wrong. This is what needs to be fixed, and you got to be willing to kind of accept what they're willing to share with you. I mean, I remember this was probably, oh man, 15 years ago. I remember my manager uh, had me come out to his house up north in Illinois, and he went through my numbers with me. And I think I was having a bad year, but he goes through my numbers with me, shows me how much money I had been making after lead expense, and he's like, Adam, he's like, you'd be making more money working at Kohl's right now. Like,
Ouch.
like I know you're good. So what do we got to do to fix this? And yeah, to me, it was more my own issues, just probably work ethic at the time, not going out enough, not working enough. But he was willing to take the time to kind of put it right in front of my face and say, hey, look at, you're good at what you do. Like, why do you want to waste this opportunity? And yeah, I mean, I'll never forget that conversation. And it really helped me to maybe buckle down and take this whole career a little bit more seriously. At the time, I was making enough money to get by, but yeah, I could have been making just enough money to get by working at Kohl's.
Yeah, with a whole lot less responsibility and stress, right?
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
saddest part. Like you just said, it's the people that if we had a batting average and the analytics to show it, would be like, you you'd be making more money at a job. Like I know you don't have a boss, you don't have a schedule, you enjoy the freedom, but at this point, look at what you're really making. That's the scary part about this is nobody takes people into the office and fires them when you're self-employed. You fire yourself.
Yeah.
But so many people don't fire themselves. They just chronically underperform their whole career with a whole lot more stress than they need to.
But yeah, I know a lot of guys kind of that had those same sort of similar conversations. There was one guy that same thing, one of the first companies I worked with, same thing, just making enough to get by. And he's like, you are just missing out on this opportunity. So
Mhm.
you have a decision to make. Like, we're not going to give you any more leads if you're not going to go out and work. So,
Yeah.
and, not only that, but with the team building and everything else, just the income potential is so great in this business that, yeah, anybody out there listening, I mean, you don't want to miss out on an opportunity where you could really change your life. You can change your family's life. I don't know another career out there really outside of like a professional athlete where you could really make the sort of money that you can make in this business if you're willing to put the time in. But again, I think work ethic really is key. And sometimes that's what lacks. And yeah, 15 years ago, I had that sort of conversation with someone I was working with. And I guess at that time I realized, yeah, maybe it's time that I need to grow up a little bit and take this a
Mhm.
little bit more seriously. And that's when that's when I got a heck of a lot better at what I'm doing. So I'm grateful that someone was willing to sit me down and say, hey, get your shit together. So, uh, connect with others in the industry to share experiences, challenges, and successes. And that's something too, Chris. I think we have a great platform for that where you have your morning call every morning
Hmm.
where people hop on the call, they share ideas, they share experiences without really asking for anything in return, except maybe learning from others that are willing to share their experiences and challenges and successes as well. So that's something, yeah, I really like. I mean, every morning we hop on the call, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central, but
Hmm.
it's something that I think it really does help people stay focused, stay on track, uh, and it also holds them accountable because every Tuesday we're shouting out our goals of what we want to do for the week.
Hmm.
And I mean, it doesn't matter. You know, we hit the goal, we don't. It really doesn't affect anybody but ourselves. But I know when I'm putting a goal out there and I'm telling the whole world what I'm planning on doing this week, you better believe I'm going to do everything I can to try to hit that goal.
Yeah.
I don't want to come up short.
No, and failing yourself is embarrassing. Like, who wants to do that? Like, have some more self respect for yourself if you're constantly failing yourself. Like,
Yeah.
everybody else, I mean, comes second realistically. Like, you're underperforming yourself. You're not buying leads for yourself. You're not putting money in your bank accounts. You're not being able to experience life to its fullest because of your laziness. Like, I was looking at the calendar in August. I was talking to Jamie and we're talking about something we want to do. And at no point did I say, I don't think we can afford to do that. No, like you're missing out on so many things that you could do if you would just do your damn job. Like, have
Yeah.
some self-respect for yourself. And when you hold yourself to a higher standard, you create a positive mindset that pushes you to do better. Okay, so my 10 o'clock wasn't home. Okay, who else can I go see? Positive mindset, negative mindset. Oh, 10 o'clock's not home. I guess no one's going to be home today. Means I might as well go home. Have more respect for yourself than that.
Yeah. Well, same thing, talking about that, having that mindset of, oh, well, we can't afford this and we can't afford that. It's the same thing. If you keep thinking that way, you're never going to be able to afford it.
Anything.
Yeah. I mean, you
Here's a
gotta,
fun
yeah.
fun way to look at it. Like, I remember the first time I wanted to move into a bigger house. I did the math on how much more business that would be. I'm like, really? It's one application more a month? Of course I can do that. Like, yeah, absolutely. We need a bigger car. How much is that? Okay, that's well within the budget. I mean, I have to do this to do that. Like, look at things in a way to make yourself positive and motivated so that you can do those things. Like, we only live once. Do you want to go to your grave thinking to yourself all the things that you could have done if you would have done better? How sad would that be?
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah. You really, like I said, you got to shift that focus and believe in yourself, self belief. I don't know if we talked too much about that today, but you got to know that you got to I guess you got to anticipate the sales. You got to assume the sales. You got to know that they're going to be coming. Yeah. The more you think about, oh, I can't afford this, I can't afford that, then what are you going to do? You're probably going to quit buying leads too. Oh, I don't
Yeah.
think I can afford leads this week. Well, then all the business that you've been writing, and when you quit writing as much business, well, then what changed? Well, I couldn't afford leads. Well, heck, you got to figure out a way to do it. Put them on a
Yeah.
credit card, whatever. Talking about consistency and everything else. Be a part of a work environment where the culture focuses on encouragement and recognition within the team. That's kind of like what we just talked about too.
Hmm.
With what you have going with like the morning call and things like that. I mean, I like what we have going. Kind of a nice close knit group, people that are, like I said, that are just kind of in it to in it for themselves, but they're also willing to share and encourage each other and kind of keep people going. I think the insurance business can be a very lonely business if you make it be a
Yeah.
lonely business. But when you're involved with a good culture and people that are out there to just kind of support you, it's almost like a support group.
Yeah. Well,
The
so many
support group
people
every
in this
Monday, every
industry,
morning.
yeah, they want to take from you before they want to give anything into your personal, like, emotional bank account. Like, how much am I going to make off you before I give you this information? Word? Like, no, like, let's find a way to. I remember someone said to me once, and that's why it's an organization I'll sell cars for before I ever make a money for. What are you going to do for me? What? What are we going to
Yeah.
do for each other? Like, let's figure this out together. Let's work hard together and we'll make money together. But if the first thing you're ever going to say to me is, what are you going to do for me? Well, that's the end of the conversation right there. And it definitely was in that situation.
I think that's just the problem with society, honestly. I think there's just so much of that out there. Just everyone these days just has that attitude, that mindset. Everybody's in it for themselves. What's in it for me? And yeah, the more you can do for others, the more you're going to be rewarded tenfold, in my opinion.
Yeah. What's in it for we will get a whole lot further together than what's in it for me, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then, from there, we got to take action, assessment, reflect on your current mindset and identifying specific areas of change. And commit to implement these strategies that we've talked about in the training today. And this training will be put on on YouTube and on the audio podcast platform as well. So that's where you will be able to go back and listen. I think it's going to take a little bit more editing on my part now with our technical difficulties today, but heck, I'll get it done.
You pretty well.
Yeah, we appreciate that too. Thanks a lot. I really do. And track your progress. Keep a journal or log to track progress and reflect on successes and setbacks. And be flexible and adjust your plans as needed to stay on track. Pretty self-explanatory, but I think a lot of times maybe the whole self-evaluation thing is the part that lacks, where people maybe know that they need a shift or change, or maybe their mindset just isn't where it needs to be, but then they don't take the steps necessary to fix it. So that's where, right here, you got to take action. You got to figure things out. And, but in conclusion, overcoming a failing mindset is a journey that requires dedication, self-awareness, and willingness to embrace change. By applying the strategies outlined in our training today, you can transform your mindset, build resilience, and achieve greater success in your career as an insurance agent. So, that's kind of about all I had for today. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add, Chris, before we sign off.
Activity cures all problems. I said it earlier, but it's the truth. Like, you're not going to feel any better not doing anything. Get moving, get in front of people, put yourself in front of enough people, and somebody will say yes. And the moment you get that first yes, you'll be like, all right, I can still do this. Then go find another one, then one after that, and then reinvest the money you made and do it again. Just activity will cure the problem. Sitting home and dwelling about it is not going to change anything.
And just have it in your mind that any prospect that you're going to see is just sitting there waiting for you with their checkbook open, just wondering when you're going to get there.
I've seen it happen.
And if you have that mindset, you're going to make a lot more sales because you're going to anticipate those sales, and you're not going to feel like, oh, they just filled this out because they thought it was free. So
it's not.
Yeah, anticipate the sale, and much more sales will be coming your way. So, well, thanks again. I hope y'all have a great week. And feel free to reach out if you need anything. We'll see you again, same time. Oh, actually, you know what? Next Monday is Memorial Day. More than likely, if anything, maybe I'll throw a replay out. I don't know if we'll have a training next Monday, but if anything, I'll put a replay out there. You can watch that next Monday. So thanks again. Feel free to reach out if you need me, and hope y'all have a great week. Thanks again.